This is Matt Rosen, and this is The Grit Mindset with me, your host, Matt Rosen. The mission of The Grit Mindset is to inspire and empower our listeners by delving deep into the journeys of those who have faced significant challenges and emerged stronger. Through authentic conversations, we uncover the mindsets, strategies, and lessons that have propelled these individuals to overcome adversity and achieve success. My aim is to provide actionable insights and real-world advice to help our listeners cultivate their own grit and navigate their personal and professional lives with confidence and resilience. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of The Grit Mindset. I am your host, Matt Rosen. Great to have you listening in. Here with me, I've got a buddy from my neighborhood that I've known for a long time. His name's Kyle Wick, and he's the co-founder of 22-1 Advisors. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming all the way down. You're 6 floors above us
yeah,
here.
right in the tower here. It was an easy commute for me for once.
Yeah, no traffic, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So tell us just a little bit about 22-1 Advisor, what you guys do.
Yeah, so I'm a co-founder of 22-1 Advisors. We started it about 7 years ago, back in 2018. I'm a financial advisor, and I merged my practice with two other longtime financial advisors. And we were just looking for something different and wanted to start something new that we could build ourselves.
That's cool. And who do you advise?
We work with families, small business owners, on anything from their retirement planning, college savings, investment portfolios, insurance planning.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I'm sure we'll learn more as we hear the story. So what did you wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a financial advisor? Like, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey of owning a firm.
So I grew up, going all the way back, I grew up in a small town in Iowa, a little farm town, and had a great childhood. And it was awesome. And I went to the University of Iowa, had no idea what I wanted to do. I changed majors a few times, bounced around, did a finance internship after my junior year. And I was like, I like this. I want to do this. But the problem I found myself in is my second semester senior year, I studied abroad for 6 months in Europe. And I come back to the States in June of 2009, wanting to get a job in finance. And it's the great financial crisis.
Right. Poor timing.
So that did not work out. I ended up working at UPS boxing trucks and in the middle of the summer in Iowa for a couple months until a family friend rescued me from that. But it wasn't much better where I went after that. So
out hauling boxes around in the sun. Luckily, I was not as hot as Texas. So
yeah, it's humid. I was in the semi, the conveyor belt coming to me, and I was playing life-size Tetris, stacking it full for 4 hours at a time, getting a good workout in. But
yeah, imagine that taught you what you didn't want to do.
Yes. And so from there, I get a call that summer from a family friend of mine who said, hey, I've got a management training program opportunity for you. I said, oh, that sounds interesting. He goes, I think you should do like a job shadow first. You should come check it out. And I go, yeah, that sounds good. He goes, all right, I'll pick you up Sunday at 10 p.m.
Sunday at
10 p.m. And I knew by that point what he does. He owns a company called Packer Sanitation Services, and they're the group that cleans meatpacking plants. It happens third shift because the meatpacking plants start running at 6 a.m. This is whether it's cattle, chicken, turkey, and then they go all day until midnight, and the USDA makes them shut down, so they have to clean it. So I did a tour with him, and for some reason decided that sounded like a first good career option, and I would just do it temporarily to get management on my resume, and a year later I was still doing it until the next.
So you were actually in there cleaning out the plants, or
Yes,
were you selling the service?
So no, I was managing a crew of 30 immigrants who didn't speak English who were cleaning it, and I would get so bored at night, in the middle of the night, I would just help clean myself sometimes. And we were doing it 6 nights a week, sometimes 7 nights a week. There's 2 different streaks where I worked 49 straight nights, third shift.
That's intense.
Yeah. And it wasn't hard necessarily. It wasn't fun by any means.
Seems like it'd be kind of nasty work.
Yeah, and it was nasty. And on another podcast, I could tell you exactly how a hot dog is made from start to finish.
That's why I don't eat those things.
Yes, yeah, you don't want to. But yeah, did that for a year. Knew I needed to get. I was in Joplin, Missouri, actually at the time, and I had an opportunity to go back to Iowa, to Southeast Iowa, where I grew up, and work at a small little farm bank in a town of 900 people. And I became a jack of all trades banker, did everything. Mortgage loans, I would go out and appraise houses, I would open new accounts. I repoed a couple cars. So one of the first things he gave me was a call list of, here's all the people who are past due on their loans, call these people. And they're just all people in the neighborhood that everybody knows, and I didn't really know them. But what that job taught me was, okay, I love finance and I love helping people. And I love just the people at the bank. They're all amazing. And it's like I could see my entire career there. I could see a path where it's like I live in this small town. I have a family here. I could be at this bank the rest of my life. And for some people that felt, I could see that path working. But for me, I'm 24 at the time. I'm like, there's got to be something else. I got to go to a city. I got to do something. And the other part is just kind of banging my head against the desk every day. It's a little bit boring at times. And I didn't control my own destiny. It's like, I thought I did a bunch of great things for the bank. And then they're like, hey, Kyle, great job. Here's your 3% raise. And I was like, what? I can't, what can I do to get more? And there's nothing. So I knew the next step had to be something a little bit more on my own. So that's I think where the entrepreneurial part of it clicked, to say, I love finance, but I need more control of my own destiny here.
Going back just for a sec, did you get hazard pay for going and repoing cars?
No, but I can
at.
vividly remember walking up to this trailer to repo a red Ford Explorer, mid-90s Ford Explorer, and praying that the guy wasn't actually home or answering the door with a shotgun. And and I had the sheriff wasn't there yet, and I was like, I'm going to not do it anyway. And it was,
That's pretty wild. So you decided, got to move to a bigger city and follow your passion around people and finance.
Yes. Yep. And, growing up in Iowa, we go to Chicago, we go to Phoenix. I was looking at those. And then by God's good grace, went on a ski trip with some old high school friends. And one of them happened to be the woman who's now my wife. We were just friends. Our moms are best friends growing up in the same small town. And again, just went on the ski trip as friends. And she was living in Dallas. She had just graduated college. And she told me basically, come visit me.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with her. I came and visited her January 2011 for the first time, and basically told her on that trip, like, I'm moving here and I love you and I want to marry you, but I want to do it the right way. I need to find the right job. I need to buy the ring. I want to do all this. But that was then my 100% my mindset was, I've got to do whatever it takes to do this right and get to Dallas and get the right job.
So it was a girl that brought you to Dallas. It's a girl that keeps me here in Dallas.
Yes. Yeah.
Once you get to this place, it's hard to get out.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we love it now. We're settled in. We've got 3 little boys. They're 8, 5, and 2. And, my number one job in the world, I always say, is being a loving husband and a present father.
Yeah.
Like, that's uber important to me. But I don't relax at all. I don't veg out. I don't like being still. And so I'm doing that. I'm growing my business. But also, I love getting involved in the community. I have what I call my 4 communities of impact that I want to spend my time and my talents with. So I'm having fun. It's nonstop, but it's all fun.
Well, I want to talk about the community impact, but before we get there, talk to us about the story of moving to Dallas and building your business. I mean, what was that like? You probably knew your now wife and nobody else.
Yeah.
Talk about what that looked like coming here and building a network, because you're in a very competitive space, obviously. So talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm 24 when I moved here. I know one person. I have no money. I know no one with money. And I'm entering a career. I chose to enter a career. I took a job opportunity to build a financial advisory practice.
And that's commission only to start,
Commission
right?
only. I made negative money my first 6 months. I had to pay to be where I was for 6 months, and it was making nothing. And I found that I loved the opportunity. There was banks I interviewed with, there was other financial firms, but again, all the same, like, I don't control my destiny, or I don't have the flexibility I want. It's kind of cheesy, but the guy who hired me or gave me the opportunity, there's 3 I's of this role, he would tell me. There's the income potential, like, you control your own income. You can do what you want there. There's the independence. And that was really appealing to me at the time. Like, nobody's telling you when you could go. I'd hate to ask the bank boss, like, can I go golf Friday afternoon or stuff like that. So the independence was big. And the part I didn't get then, but is by far the biggest part of what we do now, is the impact. Like, you're working with people on their finances and their livelihoods and their retirements on a daily basis. And that's a tremendous amount of impact you can make. So I caught this vision of what I could do and how I knew what I wanted for my family. I knew what I wanted to build with Stephanie. And this was the way that was going to get me there. But this guy who hired me, I remember him very clearly saying, Kyle, you check a lot of the boxes, except for probably the biggest one is you don't know anyone. But what I like is that you've got a why, you've got a reason you want to be here and a reason you want to be successful, but you don't have an easy exit path. Too many guys who enter this line of business, it gets hard and they quit. And they go work for dad, or they go work for their brother or their friend or whatever. It's like, I didn't have an exit path. I had to make it work.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, I had to survive long enough for it to work. And that's really what I did, is I just kept my head down and kept going and was coachable and listened to people. And I wanted to quit it a lot. I told my wife, then girlfriend, a couple times, like, I think today's the day. But there was a couple moments where I couldn't work up the courage to tell the people who were pouring into me that I was quitting on them. I felt worse about quitting on them and what they had poured into me than actually quitting myself. So,
yeah. So what was the most challenging thing, other than knowing no one, you had to build a network, about building this practice? Can you share a story of, maybe something you had to overcome along the way?
Yeah. When I got here, I wasn't the type of guy who's like, I'm going to go network my way to this. Yeah. I wasn't outgoing. I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert or an ambivert. And so I had to figure out, like, how can I make this work in a career where it's all about knowing people and selling yourself? And I didn't have the confidence to do that. I didn't have the experience to do that. So a couple things I did. One was I got dedicated to my craft, this idea of Kaizen and just continuous improvement. I've got more letters behind my name than I have in my name, right? Every test I could possibly find, I took and passed. So no one would ever question if I knew what I was talking about. So that helped build confidence, even if it was just like almost fake confidence on paper. It just gave me confidence to know, like,
but you've had the financial acumen and knowledge to advise them.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, how am I going to start meeting people? I didn't want to cold call. I've claimed I've never made a cold call in my life. But I started, build a business from scratch. And how I did that was a lot of warm calls. And so I started thinking, it's like, okay, how can I get people to set a meeting with me? What's unique enough between me and other people here that might get them to take a meeting? Right. And what I found was it was the University of Iowa. It was people from Iowa generally. I know the statistic now, there's 3,500 Iowa alumni in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And even back in 2011, 2012, when I was starting, there's a way to find almost all those people on LinkedIn or Facebook or online, and ways to call them or get their number. And I would just call and say, hey, this is Kyle. I just moved here from Iowa, saw your fellow Hawkeye, go Hawks. And so that immediately, people aren't going to hang up on you. They're going to be like, what's this about? But they're not going to like, this is a whatever, and click. And so then I'd say something to the effect of, I'm in financial planning. I'm sure you've got a guy, but I'm just trying to meet some folks. I just got here, just trying to figure it out. Yeah. Mind if I stop by your office and tell my story in 10 minutes? And I did that hundreds of times over the first few years. And it wasn't great for making quick sales, but it was great for just establishing a base. And you just tell your story, you tell your why, you have some passion behind it, and you keep at it. And enough people in those interactions were like, you know what, actually, I need this one thing. Or you should talk to these guys who work for me. Yeah. Or you should talk to this other Iowa guy. And I just kind of spun it out from there. And that's how we got started, was just all around that idea.
Very cool. Well, fast forward to now, talk about the growth you've experienced running this firm.
Yeah, and we've evolved into a number of different areas in what we can help people with. We manage about $500 million right now of assets, work in some different areas with that. But the most important thing to us, when we came together, me and my two partners back in 2018, we were trying to decide. We were actually sitting in a conference room on the 13th floor up here saying, okay, what are we going to name ourselves? Yeah. What are we going to name this firm? We didn't want it just to be Wick, White, Shao Financial, just a vanity name. And we actually came up with the name 22-1 Advisors based off of Proverbs. So Proverbs 22:1 says that a good name is more desirable than great riches. It is better to be esteemed than to have silver or gold. And if you go to our website, it says that right on the front page in big, bold letters, which is in some ways counterintuitive to a financial firm. But what we decided was our financial planning philosophy is not about material wealth. It can't just be about how many zeros do I have, what's my rate of return, what's my balance sheet. Mm-hmm. What's most important is what's in my heart, and how do I connect what's on my balance sheet to what's in my heart. And so developing through that and working through that with people has been extremely rewarding. And telling that story too, going back to the very beginning, something that was hard for me in this career was I hated the idea of being in sales. Like I didn't want to be a sales guy. I didn't want people thinking I was there for something for me. And so I've always focused a lot on how can I have people experience me differently than what they're going to expect when somebody's walking in their office. And when I can get in there and tell a story about it's not about money necessarily. It's about your good name. It's about your reputation. It's about the legacy and the values that you're going to leave to the next generation. And that's where we're going to start. Not this product or this tax code aspect or whatever, right? We're going to start with that.
Well, I think that's why wealth managers or just a lot of sellers in general get a bad rap, is they're more concerned with what they're selling than what their client needs. And I've always found if you figure out what people want, and can link your service to it. That's what's most important. It sounds like you figured that out at an early age.
Yeah. And a lot of mentors along the way. My partners are fantastic. They're different than me. They bring different skills to the table than I do, and it's fun. I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I really love it. I don't want to do it all the time, right? That's why I like this diversity of the family and the boys and all the fun and the adventures we could have there, and then working, but then also just getting out of the communities and doing different things there too.
Yeah. So that's awesome. You figured out how to really bring a lot of value to the whole wealth management business, and obviously now you've got 2 partners. You've told me you have like 13, 14 employees. Share a challenging story about what it's mean to bring practices together and employ that many folks and really drive the company forward.
Yeah. Make sure you're rowing in the same direction. And I just heard recently somebody say, it's hard to be on the same page if it's not on a page, right? And so just making sure, like, here's our mission, here's our values, here's where we're rowing towards.
Yeah.
And ours isn't a specific number. It's not like we want, $5 billion under management or we want this revenue or this. It's more so about the impact that we can make on our people and our clients, right? So we're trying to measure it from an impact perspective. So we're in alignment with that. But, Lauren, who is similar age to us, he is a very similar role to me within the company. But he's completely different than me. Like, he's the whiteboard guy, a good salesman, and he's very almost robotic about what he does. I'm the complete opposite too, right? And I just have this completely different style. And us trying to work together at first was hard, but then you realize, like, no, he's got strengths that actually cover my weaknesses and vice versa. Or working together and saying, he knows how to tee up my stories or my analogies, or I know where to insert him. So it's a lot of fun. And again, taking away that, I don't feel like a salesman when I'm sitting in a conference room with a 65-year-old couple and there's 3 of us and just helping them understand and walk through this and working together. So it's been fun, and luckily we haven't had too many challenges yet. We've had a partner who didn't work out along the way when we tried to do a little M&A, but other than that, it's been good. Yeah.
We're on the grit mindset. I ask every guest, what does grit mean to you, whether it's personally, professionally?
Yeah. I smile because I don't want to steal this answer, but one of the most impactful books I read, I'll share 2. Every time I talk, I like sharing book recommendations.
Awesome.
The first one I'll give that's helped me a lot early on with the lack of confidence. It's a book called Quiet. So can't remember the author. I should know this, but Quiet, the subtitle is being an introvert in a world that can't stop talking. I used to be very insecure in the way of, like, everybody's talking more than me, or they're outgoing, or doing all these things. Like, how do I do this? So that was extremely helpful early on in my career and gave me power and feeling confidence in what I could do. The other one, I think this book came out 10 years ago, is called Grit.
Yeah.
And I wondered, I think I even asked you, I was like, hey, is that what you named it here? But it's been 10 years since I read the book, and I don't know if this is exactly from it, but to me, on the surface, I think people think of grit as hard work, determination, right? But what the book taught me was it's not just hard work, but it's perseverance with passion, and over a period of time. So a little alliteration there, but perseverance with passion over a period of time, right? You're going to have setbacks, you're going to have failures, you're going to have plateaus, right? And I've seen all of those along the way. But 2 things I did was I didn't quit, I persevered, and I had passion about what I did. Right? It's hard. So that's how I answer. It's hard to have grit if you're not passionate about it, and if you don't have the mindset to say, I can go through this, I can persevere.
Where do you think that came from? Do you think it was because you had the why? Do you think it was because you cleaned meat packing facilities and hauled boxes? Where do you think it came from?
Yeah.
Or is it innate?
I definitely saw what I didn't want to do. Right. I saw that part. At first, it was the why, and the woman I moved here for, telling her that I would be the provider, that we're going to get married, we're going to have kids, you can stay home with kids, like these things that I wanted to do. That was a big piece of it early on. And I had what I called champagne moments. Our first date, so we went on the ski trip in November. She had invited me to her cousin's wedding on New Year's Eve, 2010. And I had this very vivid memory of toasting champagne with her. And so then the next year as I moved here, I developed what I call champagne moments. And
okay. Tell me more.
Every time I was struggling with something, or a rejection, so a lot of rejection in my business, no, hang up, not canceling meetings, whatever, I would close my eyes and imagine toasting her at the end of the year saying, wow, look what we did, seeing her ring sparkling because I proposed and doing all that, right? So champagne moments, I just, okay, this is what it's for. This is what it's for. And I would do that so often. It evolved from there, I think, to say I had some experiences through work with clients of just saying, of showing how powerful the work we do can be, being there in the worst of moments or the best of moments.
Yeah.
And saying this work matters. Back to that third eye, the impact. Like, I'm making a meaningful impact here. I didn't plan on saying this today, but a week ago, 5 days ago, one of the most important meetings of my life was sitting with a 42-year-old widow for 4 hours at our kitchen table.
Yeah.
Right. And just saying, this is what we're going to do now.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to work out. Financially, we're taking care of everything. That doesn't mean you're okay.
Yeah.
Right. You've got a lot in your little girls, but financially, you don't have to worry. That was the most important meeting of my career. And I didn't make any money. I didn't do anything, right? I helped somebody who has been a client for a long time. So that's what keeps me going now.
Yeah, that goes back to the impact you have.
Yeah.
Any other stories you can share of clients that you're particularly proud of? You have to be kind of careful about what you can say and not say, but
yeah. I think the other thing that comes up most often on the positive side when I say it's because I'll talk about accountability and people think like, oh, my advisor's going to kick me in the butt. I'm spending too much money or whatever. No, more often than not, it's accountability to help people do things they don't think are possible.
Yeah.
Most often retire. So we work with a lot of people who are nearing retirement or trying to retire and they're afraid to do it. But it's like mathematically I can prove to you can.
Yeah.
Strategically I can show you how we're going to do it. And then we're going to optimize it through different tax strategies or whatever. And seeing that, getting that phone call, like, I did it, I retired, or I put in my 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
And successfully doing that, giving them the confidence, or even when they're there in retirement, they're afraid to live life, but encourage them, go take the trip, go get the entire family together in Florida for the week, right? You can afford it.
Yeah,
right?
You can't take it with you.
Yeah. You don't want to be the richest guy in the graveyard. Yeah. Right. Third book I'll give you, Die with Zero. That's a little bit of our mantra. I was against it for the longest time, but Bill Perkins wrote this book called Die with Zero. And it's more so, it should really be called Die with Zero Regrets, right? Like you don't, you're called, whoever it is, your kids don't need the money when you're 90 and you die.
Yeah.
Your church or your charities or your school doesn't need the money when you're 90 when you die, right? How can we be purposeful about having experiences ourselves, but also being great stewards of our wealth? And that ties directly back to our name, Proverbs 22:1.
Yeah, well, that kind of ties into the impact on communities. I know that's something you're passionate about and wanted to give you a chance to kind of share how you're impacting the community we both live in and then other communities as well. Yeah.
So as I've gotten busier and life is happening and everything, and you say yes to a few things, you keep getting asked to do things, right? So I've developed what I call my 4 community. My rule number, I have 2 rules when I get asked to do something. Number 1 is it can't take away from time on the weekends with my family or from 5 to 8 p.m. Okay. So those are sacred hours with the kids and bedtimes and all that stuff. The second rule then is this directly related to one of my 4 communities? And that's probably too broad. I probably need to trim one of these off. But the 4 communities, one is work. So with our broker dealer we work with, I'm involved in a number of committees. There's people here that have poured into me at other firms. I just want to give back. So I'm on a philanthropy committee and I serve in some different components there. The second is the University of Iowa. So they educated me, but also all the Iowans here locally who took time out of their day to meet with me. And I'm actually for 10 years now, I've been the president of the Dallas-Fort Worth Iowa Alumni Club.
Cool.
So I've been actively involved with that for a long time. We've raised a lot of money through that organization. The third is Oak Cliff, where we live. I've been in Oak Cliff for 10 years now, and whether it's schools, my kids at elementary school, the high school in the neighborhood, I serve on a couple different boards, and it's hard to say exactly what it is about Oak Cliff that makes it so special. If people from the suburbs, they don't really understand, they don't get it, but I have such a deep love and appreciation for the people of our neighborhood, and I love giving back and supporting and seeing the neighborhood grow.
Yeah. It's hard to explain. It really is a great place.
Yeah. And so there's a number of things locally in Oak Cliff. And then the last is the Catholic community and doing different things within the Catholic community. So that's what how I filter my time. And I like I said, I don't relax well. I've got the energy. As long as my kids and wife are the priority and my business is growing, I'm going to spend my free time planning stuff, bringing people together. I think my God-given talent on this earth is bringing people together that wouldn't have met if it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then just seeing that flourish in Spiderweb into something good.
You've got an awesome story. Coming here, knowing nobody, building a life, 3 kids, serving the community, serving all these clients through good times and bad. It's really awesome what you've accomplished. I'm glad to call you a friend. Any closing thoughts you have for our audience before we wrap up here on the Grit Mindset?
No, I mean, Matt, thank you for everything you're doing. I've enjoyed listening to the episodes, and grit's been something important to me throughout my career. And what I always tell but young people or just people looking for change, now is you've got to find the passion within what you're doing. And then there's got to be the perseverance. So back to that definition of grit is how if you can get those 2 things to align, then it's not work so much as it's just, hey, you're building toward your own legacy and you're getting to do something for fun. So that's what I always tell people is persevere, make it worth it, have it be aligned with your interests.
Yeah, I love having the wine. I love the champagne moments.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll remember that. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. Thanks for making the time and braving traffic to be here.
Hike upstairs now. Yeah.
So for those of our listeners, hopefully had some good takeaways from Kyle today. I know I enjoyed it, learned something new about my friend. Until next week's episode, this is Matt Rosen signing off of the Grit Mindset. Stay gritty out there.